probably the first racing game I ever played, much less the first open-world racing game. This is Vette, with an exclamation point, because everything's better with some exclamation points, right? So, just like me saying factorial numbers in a dramatic fashion, I am obligated to say Vette in such a way whenever I refer to the game. In a nutshell, this game is about you taking one of 4 varieties of Chevrolet Corvette and racing against one of 4 European sports cars to assert American dominance on the street racing circuits of San Francisco. Or something like that. The game doesn't exactly have much of a story, and when games are like that, sometimes I just make up my own. I could never really play this game when I was a little pup, though, because I had no clue what I was doing, so I just wander around like a clueless idiot and never finish a race. Not that wandering around in San Francisco in a Corvette wasn't any fun, though. This game was published by Spectrum Holobyte, then a division of Sphere Inc., in 1989. Spectrum Holobyte is a company that has some notable accomplishments. It developed the Falcon series of flight simulators, and was the first to bring Tetris and Sokoban outside of their native countries. Well, I have a nice G4 tower. Let's stick this disc in and try and run us some Vette. Well, the title screen seems a little off. I think we just bisected a street singer there. He's supposed to dive off to the side when the Vette jumps over Hyde and Lombard. Ah, well. Pick a car and... Oh. Right, this is why I never played this when I was older. I figure it needs an older computer than macOS 9.2.2, and I don't have one, at least not one that works. So it's emulation time. First I figured that I'll use Sheepshaver again, like I did with Scarab of Ra, but both OS 9.0.4 and 8.6 end with the same horrible graphics distortion. It's like I'm seeing cars after the Mythbusters got done with them. So, to make a long story short, after trying a series of emulators, OS versions, settings, incantations, and vaguely satanic rituals, I finally got this game running properly. Huh. You know, this car is going really slowly, and I can only shift to second gear. Wait, what? Why is there sirens? I'm on trainee, there's no cops. Wait, what do you mean stolen Vette? Oh, right, the security questions. I was used to just hitting OK on those so I could test if the game worked right or not. Good old unintrusive DRM, though. All you have to do is enter one word. So I pull out my manual, enter in the code at once, and then I can finally capture some gameplay. You know, someone who has an intimate knowledge of cars or San Francisco could probably do this without the manual. But that's beside the point. So now let's take a look at our burly American Corvettes. You have 4 of them. The stock 1989, the ZR1, the Callaway Twin Turbo, and the Callaway Sledgehammer. You know, that sounds more like a bunker buster missile or something. Fire the sledgehammer at the base to destroy it. It's the only way! The only real difference here seems to be the top speed of the cars, aside from the slower acceleration of the stock Vette, and the fact that the ZR1's 6th gear actually lowers your speed, rendering it completely pointless. Just why? Seriously, is this how the car's gear ratio actually works? Whether it does it in real life or not, for the purpose of this game, just act like the 6th gear in the ZR1 doesn't exist. Your limey European opponents are the Porsche 928 S4, the Lamborghini Countach, the Ferrari Testarossa, and the Ferrari F40. Part of me really wishes I could drive those cars too, but at least the Callaway Vettes prove a match even for the F40, so gameplay-wise, it's not unfair. Would have been cool to have a full 8 drivable cars, though. You'll see each of the drivers of those cars if you lose, too. Of course, the female drivers in this game are a little more scantily clad. Yay for the attitude of video games. And everyone's in casual clothes, too, which bugs me a little bit. Shouldn't these people at least have driving gloves and outfits of some kind? You know, in case of fire or something? Oh, never mind. You also have 3 different difficulty settings: Trainee, Rookie, and Pro. Each higher difficulty gives you more realistic damage and traction. And starting with Rookie, you get the SFPD's finest patrolling the streets, though I do wish you could turn the police off. And on Pro, the cruise control is also realistic, but I never really use the cruise control much. I mean, who wants cruise control when you've got the engine of an American sports car under you and ready to do your bidding? Oh. Wow, I'm glad I was only talking about cars there, otherwise I'd be pushing my self-imposed TV-14 rating. You have 4 different courses to choose from in this game. If only there were 4 difficulty levels, then you'd have 4 options each. The first course is from the San Francisco Zoo to Vista Point on the Golden Gate Bridge. The second goes from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Bay Bridge. The third is from the Bay Bridge to the San Francisco Zoo. And number 4 is the all of the above option. You go from the San Francisco Zoo to Vista Point to the Bay Bridge and then back to the zoo, all in one go. That's your hardest choice right there. Have fun with that. Even the manual says good luck when describing that course. Even though I say courses, really you're only given a point A and a point B, or in the case of course 4, an entire lap, and told to get there however that might be. It is open world, yes, but there's not a whole lot of variety in what routes are quick and will actually let you win a race. But back in the day, at least for me, it was pretty cool just to drive around in there. We didn't have anything fancy like Google Street View or all of that in 1989, so this is the closest I got next to photos or an atlas, which is actually kind of funny. On the CD pack I got there was an atlas. One thing that I personally love about this game is it shows how great Macs used to be. Lazy Game Reviews did a review on the DOS version, and I'll show you some comparisons. Here's the DOS intro. Here's the Mac intro. DOS car select, Mac car select, DOS opponent select, Mac opponent select, DOS course map, Mac course map, DOS victory party, Mac victory party. Okay, point goes to DOS on that one. Damn it. But best of all, the in-game graphics and sound on DOS. Gah, the DOS engine sound. As LGR put it, it is instant ear rape. The Mac version sound actually sounds like an engine. This was the kind of thing you could rub into someone's face if you owned a Mac back in the day. You know, nowadays, getting a Mac just feels like you're paying an extra $1,000 for a sleeker-looking computer and an Apple logo to go with it. Now, the Mac version of Vette also comes with the manual, the map, all that fancy stuff the DOS version does, and LGR covers all of that. But all I have from all of that is the manual. Things seem to get thrown out in this house without me knowing, and that included my map of the San Francisco area. So I have to use the mini-map, which kinda sucks. It's really hard to read. I actually don't think it's useful at all. So I use a PDF scan, although the manual's little map of which sections are accessible and what streets go to what highways is actually more useful gameplay-wise, which is a little odd. You'd think that would be on the big full-scale map. This game also supported multiplayer through direct connection of two computers, over an AppleTalk network, or even through your modem. Could you imagine trying to set up a game with someone over the internet in 1989? The manual says you need at least a 1200 baud modem. How many of the young YouTubers even know what that means? I mean, if you have dial-up now and you think that's slow, oh my gosh, you have no idea. If I ever get the chance to set up AppleTalk with the emulators, or if anyone knows how to play this online with emulation, I'll be happy to post a video of that, but from what I know, it's basically the same as single player, but your opponent is a real person. Oh, and both players can only drive the Vettes according to the manual, which I find a shame. The European sports cars should have at least been an option in multiplayer. Imagine that, a driving sim 2-player with 8 real cars in San Francisco in 1989. But it's only 4 that are drivable, but still it's cool that multiplayer is even there. The gameplay in Vette is pretty simple though. Just get to your destination quicker than your opponent, or just go for fast times since there are leaderboards for each course. Depending on your difficulty, you have to worry about damage and police on top of everything else. Damage can be done to 4 different areas of the car: turning, engine, steering, and transmission. On Trainee, you never get damaged. The only way to crash is to take a dive into the bay. On Rookie, your damage is nerfed somewhat, and on Pro, all bets are off. You can very easily total your car if you're being too reckless. If your car is not totaled, you can pull into a gas station to repair your car. On top of more damage, the higher difficulties also make it much easier to lose control of your car, so you skid much more easily and you get more damaged. And damage can actually shift your neutral steering angle off center if you survive it, so have fun with Pro. You'll probably be seeing this screen a lot. The boys in blue of the San Francisco Police Department will come after you on Rookie or Pro. If they pull you over, they can penalize you time on your race clock. 5 seconds for speeding, 10 for reckless driving and hit and run, which is basically hitting objects that are stationary or moving, respectively, and a whopping 30 for vehicular manslaughter. The police are honestly the one huge complaint I have about this game. It's sheer luck whether you run into them or not. If you're in the city, you can take a different road to avoid them, but on the highway or the bridges, you're screwed, and you can be instantly stopped from speeding at 100 plus to be pulled over by Axe Cop here.
Alright, what's your excuse?
If they're in the opposite lane, you can really only be pulled over once, but if they're in the same lane, they'll get ahead of you again, and I have no clue how to get past them because if you speed, they'll just pull you over again, and it's really annoying. And on top of everything, it's unfair. I've seen my opponent go right by without being pulled over. Though I wouldn't mind nearly so much if you didn't absolutely have to go on the highways to travel between the sections of San Francisco map that are modeled in the game. At least it has that cool digitized voice, though.
Alright, what's your excuse?
Still, I wish I could play on Pro without the cops so I could have the more realistic handling and damage without them getting in the way. And speaking of vehicular manslaughter, yes, you can hit pedestrians, though they all look like cardboard cutouts of people, including businessmen and nuns. Yeah, you can run over a nun in this game. How many other games have that? None! Haha, I'm just hilarious.
Wait, I think I heard once that killing nuns is bad luck. I'd better get out of here.
Dang it, Brutal Legend, running over battle nuns doesn't count. Anyways, if you don't have a vehicular manslaughter citation, you can try to talk your way out of a police ticket with several different excuses. All of which I totally think any officer would buy as an excuse for why you traded paint with a car and a bus and then went 150 on the highway before they finally pulled you over as you're crossing the Bay Bridge. The only one that ever worked with me was that they take away my license with one more ticket, but then I didn't get pulled over very often because I usually played on trainee to avoid the stinking cops. So, what do I think of Vette? As a game, it's rather simple and sometimes annoying, yes, but for the time, it was groundbreaking, and it would be quite a while before anyone else would take a crack at making a fully open-world driving game again. On top of just the game, the manual and map are packed full of information about the cars and the San Francisco area, including several pages on the history of the core of Vette, and a page for each of the car's specs, including your opponents. This was one of those games where half the fun of the game was with all the stuff that came with it. Spectrum Holobyte was never a slouch in that department. It was cool to learn all this stuff about cars in San Francisco, and hey, it was pretty awesome to a kid like me who both liked racing and just driving. That, and it gave me a bunch of stuff to collect until it all disappeared into the ether. Though it doesn't really hold up very well as an excellent game, and better racing games had and would come along, but it was an impressive work considering the amount of space they used to fit all this content into. I do want to see a truly open-world street racing game of this vision with modern racing mechanics, though. It could be amazing. Speaking of just driving around, I'll show you a little bit of a secret. Go to course number 3 so that you start on the Bay Bridge, and then turn around and just drive. After a little while you'll... Ah! Dang it! Anyway, after a little while you'll... Ah, geez, flying car! Keep driving and you'll be in a hidden area where the streets are named after the developers. Good old Easter eggs. Now, before we go, let's try and jump Hayden Lombard, just like the box art. Whoa! Okay, that wasn't as good as I thought. Well, let's jump the Great Highway instead. Yeehaw! Heh, what fun. This is Tanara Kuranov signing off, and I hope I never have to actually drive in San Francisco.